Well, hello, I'm Ezra Levant. You're watching our daily 12 noon Eastern Time live stream Super Chat. Super Chat is the fancy name for when you chat in a super way. If you chip in a few bucks, Google puts it in a bright color there and appends it to the top of the page. You know the drill. We've been doing this every day during the pandemic panic. I do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and my friends Sheila Gunn Reed and David Menzies do it Tuesdays and Thursdays. What do? Well, we show you little clips and snippets of things that either don't make it into our nightly show or that we really want to show you because they're really fun, or so it's a little more stream of consciousness, a little less produced, a little less scripted. And we have a new rule here that we always end the show with a dog video, just to raise the spirits. I did a Twitter poll today. Can you go to my Twitter poll? I was thinking as I look in the mirror with, increasing dismay every day, who is a more essential service? Your barber or politicians? Looks like 1,809 people have voted so far, and 92% say barber or hairstylist. And I've got to agree. I couldn't even name my provincial MPP here in Ontario. I honestly don't know who it is. I honestly don't care. I mean, really, backbenchers in the Canadian system have no power. They're just party props. So does it even matter if I know the name of my local provincial politician? My alderman, I think I could guess who it was, but again, who cares? It's not like they listen. And my federal MP, I just forgot who it is. I think I live in, what's the Indian Affairs Minister's name? Dr. Carolyn Bennett. I think I'm in her riding. So I know one of the three layers of government who rule over me. And I think you would agree with me that Dr. Carolyn Bennett is absolutely useless in all things other than perhaps being a doctor, which I think is a noble profession that she should go back to. Look at Dr. Jane Philpott, who was the health minister until she was sacked by Justin Trudeau, literally for being too ethical. She has spent the last month as a doctor helping people with the virus, actually doing something useful. But I would absolutely say that a barber is far more useful and essential in my life, and probably yours. Thank you for letting me get that off my chest. Hey, I saw this tweet from the Calgary Zoo, and I almost couldn't even believe it. I could not believe it. After months of overcoming barriers to transporting fresh bamboo to feed its giant pandas, the Calgary Zoo announced today that it will be relocating giant pandas Shun and Damao back to China, where bamboo is abundant and local. Bye. Yeah, no. No. First of all, you know how much money those pandas cost? Countries have to pay millions of dollars to the Chinese Communist Party for a panda. And you don't own the pandas. You lease them like they're like a yacht or something. And they're certainly as expensive as yachts. And if the pandas have babies, which I think these pandas did, they're owned by China. The lease of these pandas continues till 2023. So why would Canada give the pandas back to China? And that laughable excuse, we can't get any bamboo. Oh yes, I hear bamboo is very rare. Have you ever seen bamboo? Just Google me some bamboo. It is perhaps the most common grass in the world. It grows everywhere. You can't stop it. It grows so quickly you can almost see it grow. It's that vivacious. You can't stop. Like there's forests of it. It's like a weed. I think it's actually a kind of grass. So because they can't get refrigerated bamboo from communist China, There's got to be literally 100 countries in the world in which bamboo grows, including, I'm quite sure of it, the United States. Can you Google Hawaii bamboo? I haven't been to Hawaii in a while, but I am most certain that bamboo grows in Hawaii. Like, it's just such a staggeringly obvious thing. I never checked. It's like saying, hey, did you know that they sell Advil in Honolulu? Well, I've never bought anything there, but it would be so weird if they didn't. Is there bamboo in Hawaii? Google me some bamboo in Hawaii. Of course, I don't even need to check, of course. This is the bamboo forest in Hawaii, Justin tells me in my ear. So this is in the God-fearing, red-blooded, patriotic United States of America. That looks like a boardwalk in the forest of bamboo. Doesn't that look wonderful, by the way? Isn't that inviting? You know, that photo should be called glamour. Because what's behind there? Where does it go? What's it like? That's such a beautiful photo. Do not tell me they don't have bamboo except in China. What a weird lie. Give me some more photos of that bamboo forest, if you would. That looks wonderful. Oh, sorry, we have to send back these multi-million-dollar pandas to China because we can't find any bamboo. These are all pictures. Thank you, Hawaii bamboo forest. Oh, that looks magical. Doesn't that look amazing? Oh, we don't have any bamboo, except for in China. Yeah, no. There's bamboo in any tropical country you can think of because it's like a grass. It's like saying dandelions. You have to buy these exclusive dandelions from Toronto. Yeah, no, there's dandelions pretty much everywhere. What's really going on? It's not because of the lack of bamboo. That's so dumb. I've never heard of such a dumb thing in my life. Did China demand the pandas back? Is it because for days, as you know, Taiwan gave... I'll get to the super chats, I promise. For days, and I'm going to show that Ben Stiller panda clip later. For days, the Canadian government refused to say the word Taiwan when Taiwan, otherwise known as the Republic of China, otherwise known as Free China, Taiwan just across the Strait of Formosa, a country of 23 million, wonderful place. I've had such the pleasure of visiting there. Free, democratic, multi-party, civil liberties, prosperous, safe, healthy, fewer than 10 deaths in the whole pandemic. Because they're wise to the ways of communist China. They were kicked out of the UN's World Health Organization, so they were on their own. They didn't trust the lies of the China-directed World Health Organization. Taiwan gifted hygienic, quality face masks to Canada. I think they sent 500,000. Or maybe it was only 50,000, but it was an enormous number. And it says made in Taiwan on them. Other than a made in Canada, made in America mask, and I wouldn't even trust those because that's probably counterfeit Chinese, the only mask in the world I would really trust is made in Taiwan. So Taiwan sent a bunch of masks to Canada as a thank you, generous, diplomatic gift. And for days, Canada's creepy foreign minister would not say the word Taiwan in face. Can we show that clip? You know the one? So Ed Fast, the Conservative Party critic, asked the question in question period. I think we showed this before. I don't care. I'm going to show it again. And said, why won't the ministers thank Taiwan? China is sending us faulty stuff, unhygienic stuff that doesn't work, counterfeit stuff. It says 3M on it. It's not. Taiwan sends us stuff for free. It works. Why don't we even say thank you? Here's how that exchange went in the House Commons.
This question is directed to the Minister of Foreign Affairs. On March 28th, he personally tweeted out a thank you to the People's Republic of China for donating PPEs to Canada. This tweet happened within 3 hours of China announcing that gift. Now, as it turned out, many of these PPEs were defective and could not be used. More recently, Taiwan donated 500,000 surgical masks to Canada. And yet here we are, 2 weeks later, and the minister has yet to personally thank Taiwan for its generosity. Will the minister now thank this free and democratic country for its generous gift to Canadians?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank my colleague for the question. Indeed, we are very grateful to every nation for helping Canada. This is a global pandemic which knows no border. We have been expressing our thanks to many nations who have contributed. We will continue to do so. It is important at a time of pandemic, Mr. Speaker, that we don't play politics, that humanity comes together. I can say to my COVID foreign minister's call, the world community has come together to make sure that we would make sure that supply chain would remain intact, that we would have transit hub, that we would have air bridges. And we will continue, Mr. Speaker, to work with every nation when it comes to health. This is a public good that we want to work together
We will
with
go
everyone.
back to Mr. Fast now.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I didn't hear a thank you there, so I'm going to try again. On May 4th, the government of Taiwan delivered 25,000 surgical masks to the government of British Columbia. On hand were BC's Minister of Citizen Services, Ann Kang, and Minister of State for Childcare, Katrina Chen, who, as ministers, officially thanked the government of Taiwan for its donation. Again, will the minister now do the right thing and, on behalf of Canadians, recognize the generosity of Taiwan and thank its government for that timely donation?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as I said to you before, Canada is grateful to all who have given supplies to Canada. This is a common endeavor. We are thankful.
Canada is grateful to all those who have given. Did Mexico give any? Did Luxembourg? How about the island nation of Nauru? Fiji, Tonga, Samoa, St. Kitts and Nevis, Dominica. Did Moldova? How about South Sudan? I know North Sudan didn't. Did South? How about Chad? How about any of the stands? Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Azerbaijan, Uzbekistan. Did any of the stands? Canada is grateful to all the nations of the world who has given. Yeah, I think both of the countries were China and Taiwan. Well, the United States sells us stuff all the time, so I'm assuming that I'm not even counting. So basically, two countries in the world. We're grateful to all the nations. If El Salvador said, we will be grateful to El Salvador. You know, there's a tiny Federation of Micronesia. There's a country called Kiribati. Show the flag of Palau. P-A-L-A-U. Did Palau give any masks? No. Only China and Taiwan gave masks. I guess I was thinking the flag of Kiribati. It's a weird shaped flag. Go to Kiribati. Give me the Kiribati flag. K-I-R-I-B-A-T-I flag. Twice the foreign minister was asked to thank Taiwan. I'm obviously not thinking of the flag. Maybe it's the Nepalese flag. Nepalese flag is shaped funny, isn't it? It's shaped like sort of a zigzag. Did Nepal give it? That's what I was looking for. Did Nepal give us any face masks? Only China and Taiwan did. The foreign minister was effusive in his praise for China, refuses to say Taiwan. For days and days, this showdown went on until finally Justin Trudeau said, all right, I'm going to thank Taiwan. And mere hours after Justin Trudeau verbally said the word Taiwan, just said the word Taiwan, the Calgary Zoo says they have to send back the pandas because there's a bamboo shortage. So that's your order of operations. Taiwan gives masks to Canada. Canada won't say thanks. Canada won't say thanks, won't say thanks, won't say thanks, won't say thanks. Finally, Trudeau says, thank you, Taiwan. Oh, says the word Voldemort. It's like the name that can't be mentioned. And then suddenly, the pandas have to go back, even though we have the lease till 2023. And the laughable excuse Well, our Cian Bexty did a video this morning. I promise I'm going to get to my super chats. But first, I want to show you the campaign to keep the pandas. Take a look at this from my colleague Cian.
Panda diplomacy. Have you heard of it? It's a type of diplomacy used exclusively by China. China is the sole owner of every single panda on planet Earth. It's the only place where they exist naturally, and they sort of ship out pandas to different places across the globe as a treat to regimes around the world in exchange for political and economic points. Oh, they want sanctions down? Have a panda. That's exactly what happened here in Canada when Prime Minister Stephen Harper secured the two pandas, Da Mao and R Shun. Those two pandas came from China to Toronto and then to Calgary on sort of a Canadian tour, and they actually had two smaller pandas. They were so cute. Their names were Jia Pan Pan and Jia Yu Yu. They stand for Canadian Hope and Canadian Joy. They actually had to go back to China after they reached a certain age. They got to go back to the homeland. So right now we have two pandas, and they're going to be here for 3 more years, but not so fast. They're actually getting sent home. The Calgary Zoo says it's because they can't secure enough bamboo, which I find so strange because I actually know that they get their bamboo on refrigerated flights direct from China. They say that right now that's been thrown into jeopardy, which I find so strange because we know how many flights are coming from China. We've been screaming and yelling about it for months. The flights are still coming, but they say they can't get enough bamboo anymore, even though Hainan Airlines has been doing it for years for free. Now, even if you believe the fact that China is somehow not able to supply the bamboo anymore, the supply chain might be broken, well, guess what? Bamboo grows everywhere. They're not like pandas. Pandas can only live naturally in China, but bamboo grows everywhere. It grows in BC and it grows across North America in certain places. They actually farm it. And the Calgary Zoo has actually received shipments from North America of bamboo. Now you're probably saying, Cian, why would you dare risk the lives of these pandas? If they're not getting enough food, it's much more safer for them to go back to China. Well, that is what the Calgary Zoo is saying, of course, but I'm not so sure I believe them. Just like in San Diego, when they had to send their pandas back that have been there for decades. They had to send them back in 2019 at the height of the Meng Wanzhou trial, the executive of Huawei. Now, why did China demand right then, when we were supposed to be extraditing Meng to the United States, why did they pull those pandas out of the San Diego Zoo? Well, many people speculated that that was a punishment to Donald Trump for both the trade war and also for what was going on with Meng Wanzhou. And I think that that is exactly what is going on here. Justin Trudeau, just a few days ago, mentioned Taiwan. He thanked them for their shipment of masks. And what do you know? Now the pandas are officially going back to China. Now, if I was a diplomat, if I was playing the game of panda diplomacy, you know what I would say? You can have the pandas back. 2 pandas. But in return, we get 2 prisoners. Michael Kovrig and Michael Spavor have been detained in China by the communists for over 500 days now. And we have something that they dearly want. If we kept these pandas, it would destroy their game of panda diplomacy forever. They need these pandas. We have found something that they care more about than a human life. We want those Michaels back, and they can have the pandas back. If you go to keepthepandas.com, sign the petition, we're going to send it to Justin Trudeau. This is a very modest proposal that we're making. This is a very reasonable thing for Canada to do. There are 2 human lives right now in China in some sort of gulag that we desperately need back, and they desperately want these pandas back. And they can have them, but we want our prisoners to come home. Like I said, this is a very modest proposal that we are making here, and we're going to send this petition to Justin Trudeau. We need to keep these pandas until we have secured the lives and restored the dignity of these 2 Canadians, these 2 Michaels that we dearly need home. Go to keepthepandas.com, sign that petition, and share it with your friends, and we'll send it to Justin Trudeau. For Rebel News at the Calgary Zoo, I'm Cian Bexty.
What do you think? That's the real point, isn't it? I mean, I saw the pandas when they came, I think it was to the Toronto Zoo here. I've seen pandas a few times. In fact, I went to Chengdu, China, a dozen years ago to the Panda research facility, and I saw more pandas there than anywhere else in the world. They're quite something. They're cute little critters. But imagine contemplating sending 2 pandas back to China while they have 2 human hostages that they kidnapped. Imagine being so tone deaf, so oblivious. Why would you do that? You want your pandas, you want these animals. I mean, they're cute animals and they're rare animals, but they're just animals. And we're contemplating repatriating these animals that are legally ours by right till 2023 as a favor to the hostage-taking, kidnapping jailers of the Communist Chinese Party? Imagine thinking that. Imagine in the midst of this whole virus that came from China, while they have 2 Canadian hostages, imagine thinking, yeah, let's do China this favor and give back the one thing we have they actually like and value. That is so, so, so gross. Go to keepthepandas.com. Let me know how many signatures. We just released that like moments ago. 79 signatures. All right, we're trying to get 50,000. This just went up like moments ago. Try and remind me to check that count before the end of the show. So, folks, if you want to sign Keep the Pandas, feel free to do that. Okay, some super chats. Mike Jones, $2. Are you a fan of Pierre Poilievre? I most certainly am. In fact, I had truly hoped that he would run in the Conservative Party leadership race, and he started to dip his toe in the water, and then he backed out suddenly. He sort of did an exploratory tour. I don't know what happened. I don't know if someone said, we've got some dirt on you, we're going to expose you, and he said, oh, yikes. He's got a new baby, but obviously he knew that. What made him change his mind so abruptly? I'm worried that someone threatened him in some way. It's a real shame because I think he's by far the most effective sitting MP in the Conservatives. JFPR, $5. Thank you very much. AA, $5. Ezra, please describe Trudeau's face when he saw your latest lawsuit when he got caught censoring the rebel from press events. I don't even know if he knows because he's holed up like some recluse. Can we get the photo of his fingernail? The Toronto Sun had a picture, I think it was his son, when Trudeau showed up in Parliament a few weeks ago, his fingernail. Like, look, I complain about my haircut. I'm not going to try and cut my own hair. That's worse than even what's going on up there. There's some sort of rabbit up there or something right now. I know, it's some critter. But all you need to cut your fingernails is a clipper. You can do that yourself. In fact, it would be weird unless you're going to, unless you're a woman going to some nail salon. I get that. But if you're a fella, just cut your fingernails. Just get a little clippers, you know. Justin Trudeau, now zoom in. Can you zoom in there? Yeah, look. That's not a Photoshop, people. What is going on with that long, long nail? That's not even the cocaine nail, right? Like some cocaine aficionados I have heard. You know, they go for the pinky. The thumb, maybe he just needs a big, what is going on there? Hey, Google me longest fingernails in the world. The gross thing about fingernails, and I expect to see this on Trudeau soon, is I've seen photos, obviously I've never seen such a grotesquely in my life. When fingernails get a certain length, they start to curl. Longest fingernails in the world. Are you ready to be grossed out? Like, what even? What even are those? What is that? How? Oh my God, those are fingernails. What on earth? How? That's so gross. It's like horns or something. Yuck. Those are real. Go back to Trudeau's fingernail. What? How do you get a fingernail so long? He's getting really weird, I think. He's getting really weird. He's holed up in that 22-room mansion. His wife and kids are estranged from him. They're living in Quebec. There's no reason to. None of them have the bug anymore. Trudeau is a recluse. He comes out once a day for half an hour. So yeah, my point is I don't think he even knows he's being sued. I don't think he knows much. He's just sort of, he's in a form of solitary confinement, self-sentenced. It's really, really weird. Not a banned account, $2. When will Canada apologize to China for COVID news? Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, well, with Trudeau, any moment now. Seriously, you send those pandas back, while they still have our 2 Canadian hostages. Unthinkable, unless there's some compromising material on Justin Trudeau, compromat, as the Russians called it, compromising material, like a honey trap. I mean, you can just imagine the different categories of compromising material they would have on Trudeau: drug use, sexual abuse of women. We know the case of Rose Knight. There's got to be 100 more. What happened truly at that West Point Grey Academy when he was a teacher there and then he was suddenly fired in the middle of a semester. There's got to be a lot of compromat on that guy. JFP at $10, would you agree that the CCP's motivation for the behavior is because they crave payback for the humiliations from the Opium Wars and the collapse of the Qing dynasty caused by the West? Well, I've heard some of that before. And I'm sure that the grievance history of China versus the West is taught. But I think you just have an ethnic nationalist government that is hyper-nationalist because that's part of the loyalty to the Communist Party. It deliberately tries to crush any other sort of affiliation, for example, to religion, whether it's Christian churches, Muslim Uyghurs, Falun Gong. It is industrializing. It wants to be a military power. It wants to expand again. There's so many psychological, strategic, national things going on there. And grievance is certainly one of them. And it's always important for a dictatorship to have an external enemy to blame, to scapegoat. In the book 1984, it was always Emmanuel Goldstein, and we need to hate him. And he's, a factory was sabotaged. It's Emmanuel Goldstein. A satellite launch blew up on the launch pad. Oh, Emmanuel Goldstein. Like there was some enemy that was always referred to. The dictatorships need that. Unjust, un-Trudeau, $2. This story will create pandemonium, Ezra. You know, it's going to demonetize this video, but I got to show you my favorite Panda movie of all time. It's a clip from Tropic Thunder. Is that the name of the movie? Tropic Thunder, going from memory here. Very funny movie. Oh, you got to watch this movie. Just the opening scene, fake film highlight trailers is so funny. One of the funniest movies ever. A movie that would not be made now because Robert Downey Jr. appeared in blackface. And they talked about blackface and it wasn't okay. And like the movie discusses blackface in sort of a funny way. They would never make this movie today. And I don't even know if they would make this scene, but it still makes me chuckle. Take a look.
Tug.
I killed one, Rick. The thing I love most in the world.
Vivica, get off the line now. A hooker. All right, you killed a hooker. Calm down. Here's what you're gonna do. Get your hands on some bleach, some hydrogen peroxide, and a shitload of lime.
No, a panda. I killed Amanda.
Amanda? Come on, dude. I mean, that's probably not even a real name.
No, a panda.
Panda?
A sweet, cuddly, vicious little panda.
Jesus Christ, Tug, man, don't scare me like that.
It's beautiful here.
You on the set?
I am the set.
All right, man. Hey,
How's the TiVo working out?
Screw TiVo.
I'm way beyond TiVo.
Last I checked, they hadn't hooked it up, though.
Hadn't hooked it up? No TiVo?
It doesn't matter anymore.
Extremely funny movie. Very, very funny movie. May I recommend it? Let's get back to the super chats. Thank you. I just wanted to show you that Panda clip. Lamont Boucherville, $20. Thank you very much. Bonjour. I believe the People's Party of Canada is the best choice for Canada. The CPC doesn't hold any conservative values. Merci, fellow Calgarian. Well, look, I very much like Maxime Bernier, and I've interviewed him several times. However, the party did not get traction and Bernier himself lost his seat. Now he's doing some commentaries and video. He set up a little video studio in his house. I actually visited it. You might have seen my interview there. He doesn't have the forum of Parliament. He doesn't have the infrastructure, budget, and staff of a parliamentary office. I like the guy, but in fact, I asked him if he would run for the leadership of the Conservative Party of Canada, which I think he frankly might have done, although there was a lot of bridges burned there, and he declined. I like him, and I hope he has a role in public policy in the future, but I don't think he's making an impact now because he doesn't have the forums he once had. I'm a super fan, though. I really like the guy. Jose Sanzana, $21. Is it possible that we could ship Trudeau along with the Pandas back to China? Bon voyage. Let me show you another tweet I did today. I predict that at the end of this whole thing, go to my posted tweet, Justin, my pinned tweet. I predict, if I was wearing my Panda prediction hat, that when this is all over, Justin Trudeau will seek asylum in China. I'm only half joking. How many retweets has that thing got since I put that up? 1.1 thousand likes. People are chuckling along. It ain't funny, though. I'm joking, of course, but only slightly, because I think that Justin Trudeau will try and leave Canada. He obviously finds it boring enough that he hasn't shaved or cut his fingernails. I think he wants to go to some sort of China-sponsored United Nations gig, whether it's at the World Health Organization or the UN General Assembly or whatever. Maybe he thinks he can become Secretary General. That explains a lot of his bizarre affection for China when the rest of the world has come to despise the Communist Party. Do you want to go to that Angus Reid poll? I don't want to go too deep in this because I cover this in great detail tonight on my 8 p.m. show. But Angus Reid, who's one of my favorite pollsters, simply because the questions he asks are questions you're not supposed to ask. Obviously, the Liberal government has been polling like crazy during this whole fiasco, but they haven't released it. But if you go to Angus Reid, he said, Canadian opinions of China reached new low. And scroll down just the first item, the chart. There it is. Percentage of Canadians holding a favorable view on China. 14%. That's less than a third of what it was just 3 years ago, less than half of what it was a year ago. You can see in 2018 it was already starting to fall. And then they kidnapped the two Canadians and it plunged to 29%. And now they've infected the world and lied about it. 14%. I'm not going to go through, there's a lot of great stats here. I'll go through them all at my show at 8 p.m. There's some great questions in there, like, do you think Huawei should be allowed to build our 5G networks? Do you think we should increase trade with China? Oh, that number, I think it's 11%. It's just a great poll. I'll do that tonight. Unjust on Trudeau, $2, 2 pandas for 2 mics, throw in the little potato. Exactly. I mean, obviously, in no way do I equate the 2 animals, however cuddly they are, to 2 human beings. But China does. To China, pandas are much more valuable than human beings. When I was at that Chengdu, give me some B-roll of the Chengdu Panda Research Facility. And this is more than 10 years ago now. What struck me as I was walking through this facility, besides how cute the pandas were and how much fun it was to get, in fact, you could, at that time, even pay some money and hold a panda in your lap and feed it bamboo. I don't know if they even allow that now, but back then they did. I was saying to the staff, when my father and mother went to China 25 years ago, they went to that Chengdu Panda facility and they just simply had to buy the bamboo to feed the pandas, and it was like 1 yuan, like 7 cents to do it. So they had to pay 7 cents. By the time I went 10 years ago, it was $100 US for the privilege of feeding the panda. Now I don't even think so. It's just such a money-making strategic asset. Do you have any B-roll or even sound on tape from that? Yeah. So I don't know who. I don't know if that, because the staff when I was there certainly wore uniforms. Maybe like they were. This could well be it. This could well be it. Obviously more meat. There were so many pandas. Probably more pandas at that one place than the rest of the world combined. It was so much fun. It was so delightful. But what struck me, besides how delightful the pandas were, was the ratio of human servants to pandas. They really were servants. They would pick up a leaf. They would pick up a weed. Like, these pandas were treated far better than any ordinary Chinese citizen. It was like a luxury spa for pandas. And the number of, I'm going to use the word peasants, because they were certainly treated like serfs. Yeah, like this is what it was like. Like, you just see, like, how much fun is that? Look at that guy trying to get up there. How much fun is that? But like, it was just so much fun to see all the pandas. But for every panda, there were dozens and dozens of staff. They were literally treated like little emperors. And good for the pandas, but it was clear to me that in the hierarchy of society in China, pandas are valued by the government more than mere human life is. Look at that, they're always falling down. That's what made them so funny. Okay, thanks. Let's read some more. Friends and Fishing with Paul, $3, big fan from Chicago. Well, thank you very much. I'm a big fan of Chicago too. I really love that city. I got to get back there when the quarantine's over. I have imported Lou Malnati's to Canada. I won't get into that story right now, but if you're from Chicago, you know what that means. They don't ship to Canada. You don't have the photo of me bringing that Lou Malnati's in. It'd be too hard to find it. You know what? Lou Malnati's does not ship to Canada, so I ordered a huge shipment to Niagara Falls, New York. And I sent a buddy down to drive across the border, bring it through the border, and personally deliver it to me and my team in Toronto. That's a few years back. I have photographic evidence of that, but I can't find it right now. So I know what's really going on in Chicago. Let's get back to the Super Chats. Kaylee Longhurst, £5. I live in the UK and watch Rebel for my news. Love Rebel's coverage and team are amazing. The Panda story unfolding is very telling. Team Rebel. Isn't that the truth? And what gets me is that no one involved with that sees the immorality of giving anything to China while they have our hostages. Like, you just don't even see the parallel that they're holding 2 humans hostage and they're demanding 2 pandas back. You don't even see the mirror image, the morality that they would demand our pandas back but not give our humans back. Harry Holbrook, $5. Thanks, Ezra, for being the only free press representative up north. Keep the stick on the ice. I'll do my best. Thank you. Frank Dano, $5. How much of Canada does China own? I heard that China is buying a gold mine. Can you give me that new Natsiak news? I think we showed this the other day, didn't we? There's a strategic northern mine in Canada, gold mine, and Shandong Gold just put in a $200 million bid for it, and apparently it's being approved. So basically China flattens the world, crashes the economies, depresses the prices of everything, but because they're the only ones with the cash, look at that, Nunavut's Hope Bay Goldfields to be bought by China's Shandong Gold. We look forward to completion of the transaction opportunity to invest in the project for years. So we're just sort of selling our far north to China because Trudeau couldn't be happier. I'm only surprised he didn't give it to China as a gift. William Hadrian, $5. There has to be a reason why he's locked in his home besides sheer laziness. Yeah, I don't know what it is. First he said, maybe I should quarantine because, look, Donald Trump and his staff get tested every single day. Boris Johnson actually got the cough, went to the ICU, he's back, he's working. There's no other world leader who's just hanging out at home, watching Netflix, smoking pot, growing his fingernails really long, getting really, really weird. Oh, here's news. You're so right. Hot soup, $5. U.S. has arrested another university professor for giving U.S.-funded research to China. Does Canada have traitorous 1,000 talents operatives too? I saw that story. There's so many cases that are coming to light in the United States. In Canada, we don't even prosecute. It's just ubiquitous. Years ago, a decade ago, the head of CSIS said there were 1,000 Chinese operatives in Canada, almost all of them focused on industrial and technological espionage. You know, Canada used to have our version of Apple. We had a company called Nortel that at its height was worth hundreds of billions of dollars in stock market capitalization. It truly was a global player. They were hacked. Huawei stole all their secrets, and Huawei is basically built on the remains of Nortel. Frank Dano, how much of Canada? Proud Dutchman, hey Ezra, don't cut your hair, grow it big. Yeah, I don't know. It's just maybe. I mean, it just looks sort of messy, and you know, because my hairline's receding, it looks like I'm trying to do a real comb over thing, which is really the beef I have with it. Max Leitner, £2. I'm 15. Please tweet me 04 after my name. Don't forget. Okay, Max, I will try not to forget, and I'll go and check out your Twitter. JFPR, $5. Can you tell us anything about your new book that you were working on, or is it too soon to ask? It is not too soon to ask, and my staff ask every single day. Should we even show the cover, or is that just teasing everybody because I'm so slow on this thing? It's supposed to be on sale. I won't tell you why it's been delayed. There's two reasons, one good and one bad. Do you need me to send it to you? Do you have it there? Let me see if I can send that to Justin. You know what? I shouldn't even. I showed it the other day because I wanted to put pressure on myself to get that thing done a little bit sooner. But yeah, I'm afraid I can't find it very quickly. Or give me one more second to look for it. There it is. All right, I just sent it to Justin. So when you get that, go ahead and show it. I'll tell you, we're having some problems with Amazon. We've published 7 different titles in 14 like Kindle and paper versions. We've had 14 products, but they don't want to publish this. Now we're still working on it. Still trying to work on it. They will not put that up for sale. They say it's contrary to their public policy. Thanks. All right, let's get back to the Super Chats. Game of the Dam, it's $2. Send man eating polar bears instead of the pandas. Hey, that's a good idea. There are so many polar bears out there right now, by the way. The population is booming. I think we should send polar bears, and that is one dangerous animal. You know, give me a polar bear eating a seal. There's nothing more dangerous than a polar bear. They look so cute because they're always in those Coca-Cola ads, friendly polar bears. Everyone loves the polar bears. They're used in World Wildlife Federation propaganda almost as much as the panda. But there's nothing more terrifying than watching a polar bear eat a seal. And what's incredible is just the red on the white bear, I think, is particularly terrifying. I don't know if we need to show it, but it is quite something. Show them Chinese bear aficionados how it's done. Oh yeah. Oh, this is I've seen this video before. This is one of the most incredible videos. Look at that. Look at that. Yeah. Oh my God. It is a mess. In fact, I don't even think we should show the whole thing because it's just too bloody. That ain't no in a battle between a polar bear and a panda bear. There's only one way that battle ends, and it's with the panda bear becoming lunch. Holly Guy, $5. Love you, Rebel Team. Love supporting you. I'm from the U.S. And what do you think Trump's chances are in the election? Ez? Boy, before the pandemic, I thought he's going to do well. I think he's handled the pandemic fairly well. I think a lot of the worst decisions were made at the state level, especially in New York by Andrew Cuomo. But the media party is so powerful down there, and they will love the fact that the economy, which was Trump's strong suit, is now in a tailspin. And everyone knows it's not Trump's fault, but it's on Trump's watch. So I think his chances have been hurt by the pandemic. That said, there is nothing weaker than Joe Biden. I just retweeted something by Dan Scavino. I think one of the Trumps tweeted, it's a video of Joe Biden trying to answer questions by a liberal journalist named George Stephanopoulos. Take a look at this video. It's only about a minute. Take a look.
I do want to ask you about Michael Flynn. The president said yesterday that that move is justified because President Obama targeted Flynn. He called it, quote, the biggest political crime in U.S. history. Your former Senate colleague, Charles Grassley, has added that Flynn was entrapped. So what did you know about those moves to investigate Michael Flynn, and was there anything improper done?
I know nothing about those moves to investigate Michael Flynn, number one. Number two,
I do want to press that. You say you didn't know anything about it, but you were reported to be at a January 5th, 2017 meeting where you and the president were briefed on the FBI's plan to question Michael Flynn. Oh,
I thought you asked me whether or not I had anything to do with him being prosecuted.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I was aware that they asked for an investigation. But that's all I know about it. I don't know the detail of where we are right now. Focus on what's in front of us. You have plenty of time to investigate this issue. I think there's nothing there.
He's weak, he's forgetful, he needs an earpiece to tell him what to think. When even diehard liberals like George Stephanopoulos are asking him tough questions, and he just, I don't think he's a good candidate. I think he could be in trouble on the whole Russia collusion scam, but frankly, I think he's just a terribly weak candidate who has, I call them Joe Biden moments. When I forget a name, I say, oh, Joe Biden moment, because it's pretty remarkable. I'd still bet on Trump right now, but that's probably the optimist in me. Let me hurry up here because we've got so many super chats. I'm going to whip through these. Travis Colson, $7. Please look into this crazy idea I heard on CBC Radio this morning. Could risky human challenge studies help find a vaccine sooner? Okay, I'm going to look that up because I don't know what you mean. Proud Boys Calgary, $2. $1.5 billion to the World Health Organization. Ridiculous. Communist China Party must be destroyed. Yeah, Trudeau's made just another gift to the WHO for vaccines. I think he really has given more than $1 billion away in the last week. Fat woolly temp worker Hoser Kanake, $2. Third month into unemployment, spend wisely. Oh, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. And when I started by talking about the poll for barbers, I mean, obviously I need a haircut, and so does everybody else. And we want to go to restaurants and bars and see waiters and waitresses. I can only imagine what it's like. A lot of these folks, I'd say a large percentage of people, especially young people, live paycheck to paycheck. No one saves. We're not a saving culture, and it's hard to save. You really rely on work, and credit card debt accumulates. I can't imagine what it's like not being able to pay rent once, twice, 3 times. No one has that kind of money saved up. Like, really? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months rent, and then you have the chain reaction of that. I mean, I say again, show me someone who wants the lockdown to continue, and I'll show you someone who's got a government check that he hasn't missed once. I don't know of any normal people who say keep the lockdown going. Now, I'm not saying people themselves won't say, well, I'll stay home, I'll continue work from home. And I'm not referring to people in their 70s and 80s and 90s in seniors' homes who are the real risk category. I'm talking about young people, normal people in the workplace, not the extreme cases, people in the 80s and 90s who aren't in the workplace to begin with. They're not under lockdown in an economic sense. They're in seniors' homes, and that's a whole other kettle of fish. Not a single Canadian under age 20 has died from the virus, not one. And yet playgrounds are locked down? Fucking guy, $20. Well, thank you very much. Old man, $5. Thank you very much. Hard money, $5. Thanks. Hello, Ezra. Would it be possible to report a bit on Newfoundland and Labrador? I believe the Liberal provincial government is on a power trip here. Well, Hard Money, thank you very much for that tip. If you have a particular story, feel free to flip it to us using our tips at rebelnews.com, or if it's, you say Power Trip, if it's a Fight the Fines type story, show the website for fightthefines.com. If someone got an inappropriate ticket, if someone's being bullied, they can go to our special website, fightthefines.com, and there they can fill out a form and we will give them a lawyer. We have given lawyers to 11 people. I think we've So we just rolled out the 9th. Did we show any of that other case on Monday yet? I don't think we did. Why don't we show just a couple minutes of this guy from the beginning? I found this guy very sympathetic. Take a look at this guy. This is an example of a guy that we're helping.
So in other words, the most dangerous potential event for a transmission of this virus came when the bylaw officer got into your grill to give you this ticket.
Exactly, and that's the lunacy of this whole situation. That's where it just becomes... Social distancing became moot at this point. To me, it was just, I don't know if it's a display of power. I don't know if it was just meeting a quota. I have no idea, but this is just ridiculous, as anybody can probably agree.
David Menzies for Rebel News here in Ottawa, Ontario. Well, folks, I'm at Strathcona Park, and I'm with Mark Sylvester. Now, Mr. Sylvester was in this park last month. He was walking around by himself, minding his own business, pursuing his hobby of metal detection. Mark has a little metal detector, and he was looking for some buried treasure. Can you possibly guess what happened? Yep, let's cut to the chase. Ottawa bylaw descended upon Mark and presented him with one of those $880 coronavirus tickets. Yes, Mark is our latest person to come forward to fight the fines, and just will you hear his story. What exactly happened that day when you were here looking for buried treasure in Strathcona Park?
Well, it was very simple. Basically, I was walking around this field, figuring, metal detecting, what could be more of a social distancing hobby, right? So I figured, it's cool. I'm not near the benches. I'm not near other people. I'm in the middle of a field. What could go wrong? And lo and behold, from half a kilometer away, here they come, and I knew right away. So what could I do? I just stood there and expected the worst, and the worst happened.
And when you say they, this was bylaw officers, plural, from City of Ottawa?
Yeah. Two of them came up to me with smirks on their faces, actually, and I basically said, "Oh no, you're not going to give me a big ticket, are you?" And they're like, "Yep." And next thing you know, after a small protest, I gave them my ID, and obviously I had to accept the fine. What else could I do, right?
Now, Mark, I'm very curious. You said a couple of officers came up to you. You alleged they were smirking. Video. They were happy to give you this.
And I found him very, very sympathetic. And Justin, I'm not going to ask you to find it, although if you can, please do. There's this part where he says, "I didn't know what to do, and I was sad and alone," kind of thing. And thank God you guys helped. Like that, he didn't use those words, but there's a moment near the end that I found very, very touching. Here's a guy, looks like a solitary guy, metal detecting, it's, not a hobby for everyone. And there he is, literally by himself out there, just a guy. And they go up to him and they just sock him with, and he looked hurt by the injustice of that, and then no one cared, and the government was being abusive. And he had a moment, if you can find it, if not, don't worry about it. It was sort of beautiful where he thanked David, and I found it very touching. If you can find that, Justin, great. If not, don't worry about it. I'll read some more super chats. Let me whip through them because I'm so late. Shmoo $2. What do you think about Judge Sullivan? Are you talking about the judge in the Flynn case? Because I don't know who Judge Sullivan is. The local loaner, £5. Do you think after the lockdown is over, the left will try to connect coronavirus with climate change? Try to. They have since the beginning. Oh, Justin found just look at this part. This is going to break. I found this touching. What do you think? Take a look.
Thefines.com website. What do you think of that offer, my friend?
Oh, I am so much obliged. That's the greatest thing. I cannot thank you guys enough. And like you said, it's not about the money here. It's about letting people know you can't be doing stuff like this. This is not animal farm here. This is not 1984. We cannot just tear rights away from people whenever it's convenient.
We're going to crowdfund the thousands of dollars in legal fees.
It goes on a bit, but it was very, very nice. It was very, very nice. He talked, you know what, it rolled for a few more seconds because he talks about, I think, being alone in his house. Can you put that back up just for a few more seconds?
We are going to fight for justice in terms of your case here.
Thank you so much, guys. That means the world. Like, just to know I'm not alone in this, not to simmer at home and say, what can I do, you know? At least I know there's people pulling for me somewhere. It's beautiful.
Well, I'm with our...
Thanks very much. You know what, I watch the whole thing. Go to fightthefines.com. I have no idea who that guy is. But I like him. And I don't like what was done to him. And the fact that he said this was emotionally meaningful to him, that we're helping him, that feels great. And thank you to everyone who's chipped in at our crowdfund at fightthefines.com, because we got him a great lawyer. I'm going to whip through this. Let's see how fast. Shmuju, $2. Where can I find your new book? Well, we're trying to get it on Amazon, but they won't let it up. So we have a backup plan if that doesn't work. Another $2. Do you know John Collison? Yeah, I used to work with him 20 years ago, if you can believe it. Holly Guy, $5. Ezra, have you heard about Cuomo forcing corona patients into nursing homes? Eric Metaxas had a guy on who broke the story. Loved you on the show. I like Eric as well. It was very nice for him to have me on the show. I have heard about that Cuomo business, and they did the same thing in Pennsylvania as well. The CKPWN, $5. Canadian need real answer, not propaganda. Dictator, we aren't asking too much. Yeah, well, maybe it is asking for too much with Trudeau here. All right, it's 12:57. I want to show you a video that we've put up for our friends at the Clarion Project. Do we have a clip? Do we have a trailer? Take a look at this. It's just a clip. It's a homegrown terrorist from the United States who became a jihadist and went after South Park. Take a look.
Draw pictures of the Prophet, which is considered sacrilegious, and some of them very heinous. That led to controversy from the Muslim community, and then out of nowhere, my colleagues, Samir Khan and Anwar al-Awlaki, who are now embedded with Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, issued the first issue of Inspire magazine, the English language jihadi magazine, that included not just a fatwa to kill those that had insulted the Prophet, but also directives on how they might be able to do it, with an article called How to Build a Bomb in Mom's Kitchen, for example.
A second Muhammad episode ran, and it was slightly censored, actually significantly censored.
After threatening the writers of South Park, I ran to Morocco until I was ultimately arrested. The United States government comes to fly me home, and I was asked whether I wanted to be called Jesse Morton or Yunus Abdullah Muhammad, and for some reason I said Jesse Morton. They told me that they were going to issue a series of charges that could potentially put me in prison for the rest of my life. And I began to negotiate a deal with the government that capped me at 15 years. While I was negotiating that deal, a guard in the facility did not like the fact that I was housed in solitary confinement. So she would take me to the law library, and it started to reconnect with sort of a more Western identity, I think you could say. I started to read the Encyclopedia Britannica's great books of the Western world, dove into the Enlightenment philosophers, post-Enlightenment thinking, humanism. In the course of my interactions with the FBI, a female FBI agent did see not only, number one, that I was altering my positions, but also saw, because they were monitoring the activity that was going on outside of the prison, that I still had influence. And
it's a very interesting story. Well, we have that documentary created by Clarion Project. What's the link for that? We'll put it in the chat. It's a YouTube link there. So that's a very interesting video that Clarion Project put together about a terrorist who, anyway, very thoughtful fella. Terrible what happened to him, but it looks like he's come back from the dark side. We're almost done. We got a puppy video for you. Let me read two super chats. First, Mike Mayer, $5 during the Toronto protest video David did. I started tearing up during the Polish woman's interview speaking about tyranny. I saw that too. That was very touching. David's just been on fire. He's done such a good job lately, all over Ontario too. Richard Summers, $7. Interview conservative candidates on your show and or comment on them and their platforms. Well, we had Leslyn Lewis on very recently. Derek Sloan, Jim Karahalios, and we have invitations out to Aaron O'Toole and Peter McKay, but so far they don't want to come on, and I say to those fellas, come on. If you can't handle some questions from Ezra Levant and Rebel News, how are you going to be able to stand up to the CBC and the liberal war machine? Just how are you gonna? I don't bite. I mean, I ask questions from a conservative point of view, and I press if I don't like the answer, but I don't think I'm unfair or mean. In fact, I'm sort of a little bit softball-ish when someone comes on the show that I didn't expect would. I think it doesn't look good on them to marginalize conservative voices, and it's a premonition of how quickly they'll cave into the cancel brigade if they become leader. That's the thing. I'm not looking for Peter McKay or Aaron O'Toole to endorse me, and I most likely wouldn't endorse them. But if they are so easily pressured and bullied by the media party, oh, you can talk to him, but you can't talk to him, you're not going to survive in a campaign. And if by some chance you become government, you're going to do a terrible job because you'll be at the whim of any Twitter mob. And that's not a good look for a conservative. All right, my friends, it's 1:02. I think we've got through the super chats. I appreciate all your support. Let's end with a puppy video. I'll say goodbye now, but I know that Justin has a dog video. Take a look.